On January the 10th, it was already known to the informateur and the other parties at the formation table that the NSA chose not to get into a coalition together with the PVV. Hi, my name is Phil. I'm living in the Netherlands. We had elections in November and I am following the developments because here in the Netherlands you need to form a coalition to get a majority in the parliament, and that has to do with the large amount of parties we have in the parliament. Today it is the end of the first phase, the B side of the phase 1B, which means that the informateur Ronald Plasterk has finished his report and has offered it to the chairman of the parliament. And though the full content was yet not known at the moment when I was recording this, there are a few things that can be said about this report. Ronald Plasterk, the informateur, advised in his report that another informateur should be installed for the next round. That round will be about the real hard negotiations between the parties to come to a coalition. It also means that he feels that a coalition between those four parties is still a possibility, in whatever form. And that is his last recommendation, is that the next informateur is first going to look at the form, because there are now two parties who like to support but don't want to be part of the coalition. The VVD announced it already within 48 hours after the elections, but I need to say that the voters didn't like that comment and she needed to backtrack that, but whether she really did and how far she backtracked it, that is unknown. She mentioned on the Congress that has been held in January somewhere that it must have felt like a cold shower to a lot of people, and that was not intended. It was already known, by the way, that the NSA was not seeking a seat in the coalition itself, and that has a lot to do with the PVV, who in his proposals in the last 17 years or so has been proposing things that are not abiding the rule of law nor the Constitution. So they have been talking about both and have reached a few agreements. I think there are 7 of those. The first one is, do we abide the rule of law and the Constitution? Well, that was a no-brainer. Everybody at the table said yes, of course, but they have been specifying it. And this part was really important for the NSA because they want to bring back the trust between the governments and their institutions or independent institutions and the citizens. There are 2 things that were mentioned, which I can give as some sort of an example. That there is freedom of religion, that is in the Constitution, and it includes all religions, including the Islam. And that is important because the PVV until now tried to rule out the Islam. They feel that it is a dangerous religion, a backwards religion and dangerous. Another example is that all independent institutions should be protected and respected, and that includes justice. And that is important because the PVV has made remarks trying to influence justice, and that is not the role of a politician. So those are two of the agreements which were important to Omtzigt. Still, besides that, he did say that he felt that the distance between his party and the PVV was still too big, and that means that he is not willing to take part in a coalition, but that he is willing to support it. And that means supporting on certain topics that needs to be worked out in a different agreement. The coalition is making an agreement, and that coalition is going to make an agreement with a supporting party. Now we have two parties who are claiming the supporting role. And that is not possible because it would weaken the coalition too much. Only one can be in that seat. Anja Silkes, the leader of the VVD, is facing a hard decision because her party, the members, are very divided. You have a liberal part and you have a conservative part. The liberal part say, please don't go with the PVV. The conservative part, who are leaning more towards the PVV, say, go for it. So that's a pretty big difference, and I don't know where she stands at the moment. We need to find out, probably on Wednesday, when the debate about this report is going to take place, and every party can say its piece about it. The left certainly will do so because they have a feeling that it was a waste of time and that they need to start all over again, that it was fighting and a whole lot of negative, or a whole lot of, but a number of negative tweets, and that this obviously is not going to work. So why not break it off and start over again with other parties, themselves included, of course. This is maybe good to mention why the NSA is feeling that the distance between the PVV and themselves is still too big. That has to do with the past of the PVV. For 17 years they have been against the Islam. They want to take every Quran out of every house. They want to forbid it. They want to tear down the mosques. And to change that overnight, especially when this is incorporated in a negative attitude, and by that I mean that he was often, Geert Wilders of the PVV, was often in an attack mode when he was debating. He could be really rude, and that is not going to change overnight. Since the NSA is a brand new party, I can imagine that they don't want to take that risk. And when we look at this process of formation, well, Geert Wilders started with negative tweets. I guess he just can't help himself. He is also sometimes compared with Trump. I don't agree about that, but when it comes to negative tweets, well, there is some comparison. Little Trump. And let's talk a little bit about Omtzigt, because he was in the building where the parliament is seated. He wanted to see the report. They were able to make remarks about it when they didn't agree upon something. But he also talked to a few journalists. And what he said about his action of last week was that it wasn't chic, and that he probably would not do it again, that he would first inform his colleagues and the informateur, and then go to the media. I need to say I didn't catch it at first, but he is actually saying that he still would not have attended the meeting on that Wednesday night. That Wednesday where there was the hope of the other parties that he would come up with some sort of explanation about what he has been doing. And for somebody who is trying to restore the trust between the citizens and the institutions, which start with respect for the institutions and protecting the institutions, that might be a little weird, because according to Ronald Plasterk, the informateur, he has been saying that it is the informateur who decides when a meeting is over or not a meeting, but when a part of the process is done. It's not up to somebody sitting at the table. So in the eyes of Ronald Plasterk, he still would be disrespecting the institution of the informateur. Omtzigt, however, said that those are Plasterk's words. And that might be the case, but it shows that it is hard to define what respect for an institution actually is. And you can make rules about it, but the person who is all in favor of respecting the institutions might have trespassed the rules. Unwritten rules, but the rules. And how many unwritten rules do we have in society if it is about respect? What is respect? Because it is so fluent, I can understand Omtzigt not wanting to take part in the coalition itself. And a little bit more about Omtzigt, because people who have been working with him are telling us that this withdrawal of Peter Omtzigt is actually pretty normal. Peter Omtzigt is somebody who thinks in details. And when you are doing that, you are doubting a lot. And it is really hard to make a decision. And you might make the wrong decision, even though you have been thinking everything through. To gain some control, he wants some control over the process. And at the moment he feels that he doesn't control the process anymore, not enough, he is going to withdraw. I didn't say that yesterday, but it has been leaked that the day before Omtzigt left the table and said those negotiations so far, this round, we are done. That the day before, he was also withdrawing himself out of the process. That has been leaked. Those conversations should be confidential, but still it was out in the open. So it already started before the 21 letters came in. It might have been about the finances, but then it has been the drop of water filling the bucket a bit too much. It might be that at that moment he felt like, okay, this is it. This is information that is different from what I have understood so far. I am going to withdraw myself because there is no time left to discuss this and to come to a reasonable conclusion. He is very respected for this attitude, not that he is withdrawing, but I mean he is respected for his knowledge, the files he has been devouring, the details he is remembering, and the way he is dealing with all of that, using it in the chamber. That is how he has won the trust of a whole lot of citizens. However, that trust now has been lowered. It is still pretty good, but not as good as it has been, but it was 97%. And that is really high, and nobody is perfect, and he isn't either. But it is like a coin with two sides. One, it works out really well, and at the other side, he is sometimes doing things that are not that smart, to say the least. Okay, I have nothing to say anymore. I am sure that there will be coming more in the next few days, especially on Wednesday, but I already think tonight as well, because the report will then have been studied thoroughly. Okay, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. And all I can say is thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.